Have you ever smiled in front of everyone while quietly falling apart inside? Maybe you've told people, "I'm fine," even though your heart felt heavy. Maybe you've carried wounds no one could see, not because they were invisible, but because you became so used to hiding them that even you forgot they were there. Here's the truth that most people never hear. Not all pain leaves scars on your skin. Some of the deepest wounds are carried silently, in your thoughts, in your memories, in your heart. And the saddest part is this. Many people spend years searching for someone else to heal them. They wait for an apology that never comes. They wait for the person who broke them to somehow put the pieces back together. They wait for life to become fair. But what if your healing was never supposed to begin with someone else? What if the greatest journey of your life starts the moment you decide to heal yourself? Thousands of years ago, the Stoic philosophers understood something that modern society often forgets. Pain is unavoidable, but remaining broken forever is a choice. This doesn't mean healing is easy. It doesn't mean you should ignore your emotions or pretend nothing happened. Stoicism is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming whole. Imagine a beautiful tree after a violent storm. Its branches are broken. Its leaves have fallen. Its trunk bears deep scars from the wind. Yet season after season, it continues to grow. The scars remain, but so does its strength. Your soul is no different. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you choose to become after it happened. Marcus Aurelius wrote something extraordinary during one of the darkest periods of his life. He reminded himself that the obstacle in the path becomes the path itself. Think about those words. The obstacle becomes the path. Most people see pain as proof that life is against them. The Stoics saw pain as an opportunity to discover the strength they never knew they possessed. Ask yourself honestly, who would you be today if life had never challenged you? Would you appreciate peace if you had never known chaos? Would you value kindness if you had never experienced cruelty? Would courage even exist if fear had never appeared? Sometimes the very experiences we wish had never happened become the reason we grow into someone wiser. But healing cannot begin while you're constantly fighting the past. Imagine trying to drive a car while staring only into the rearview mirror. How far would you get? Not very far. Yet that's exactly how many people live. They replay old conversations, old betrayals, old mistakes, old regrets, again and again and again. Meanwhile, the present quietly slips away. The Stoics believe the past has already finished speaking. It is your attachment to it that keeps the conversation alive. Think about carrying a burning piece of charcoal in your hand. You tell yourself you're holding it because someone deserves to be punished. But who is actually getting burned? Every day you refuse to let go of anger, bitterness, or resentment. You continue hurting yourself far more than the person who caused the pain. Healing begins the moment you realize that letting go is not something you do for them. It is something you do for yourself. There's a powerful misconception about strength. Many people believe strong people never cry, never struggle, never feel broken. But Stoicism teaches something entirely different. Real strength is not pretending you have no wounds. Real strength is having the courage to face those wounds honestly. Because what you refuse to face, you cannot heal. Imagine walking through your house every day with a broken window. Instead of fixing it, you simply hang a curtain over it. From the outside, everything looks normal. But every storm still enters the house. That is exactly what happens when we hide emotional pain instead of healing it. You can distract yourself with work, with social media, with endless entertainment, with success, with relationships, but sooner or later, the storm returns because healing cannot be replaced by distraction. It requires attention, patience, and courage. Seneca once observed that we suffer more often from our fears than from reality itself. Many of us continue carrying emotional pain not because it still exists, but because we're afraid to finally let it go. Why? Because sometimes our pain becomes part of our identity. We no longer say, "I experienced heartbreak." Instead, we begin believing, "I am broken." But those are not the same thing. One describes something that happened. The other describes who you believe you are. Stoicism reminds us that no painful experience has the authority to define your identity. Only you do. Imagine looking into a mirror that's covered in dust. You might believe the reflection has become ugly, but the problem isn't the mirror, it's what's covering it. Your soul is much the same. Beneath the fear, the disappointment, the regret, and the heartbreak, the person you truly are is still there, waiting, not to become someone new, but to remember who you've always been. And perhaps that's where healing truly begins, not by becoming someone different, but by removing everything that convinced you that you were never enough in the first place. If there is one wound that quietly follows people for years, it is not the pain caused by others. It is the pain they continue to inflict upon themselves. Many people have learned to forgive the people who hurt them, but they have never learned to forgive themselves. They replay every mistake, every wrong decision, every opportunity they missed, every moment they wish they could erase. They become both the prisoner and the prison guard. Tell me honestly, how many times have you punished yourself for something that happened years ago? How many nights have you whispered, if only I had done things differently? If only I had seen the warning signs? If only I were stronger? But here's a question Marcus Aurelius would have asked. Can yesterday be changed by today's regret? Of course not. Then, why do we continue paying interest on a debt that has already expired? Imagine carrying a heavy chain around your ankles. Every link represents a mistake from your past. At first, it feels manageable, but year after year, the weight grows heavier. Soon you stop chasing your dreams, not because you're incapable, but because you've convinced yourself you don't deserve happiness anymore. This is what guilt does. It quietly steals your future while pretending to honor your past. The Stoics understood something deeply liberating. Every human being makes mistakes, even emperors, even philosophers, even the wisest people who ever lived. Marcus Aurelius wasn't perfect. Seneca wasn't perfect. Epictetus wasn't perfect. Their greatness didn't come from never falling. It came from always choosing to rise again. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall dozens of times, sometimes hundreds. Do we criticize them? Do we tell them they'll never succeed? Of course not. We encourage them to stand up again. So why do we treat ourselves with less compassion than we would offer a child? Somewhere along the way, we began believing that one mistake defines our entire life. Stoicism rejects that belief completely. You are not your worst decision. You are not your greatest failure. You are not the person you were 5 years ago. Every sunrise offers you the opportunity to become someone wiser than yesterday, but only if you stop introducing yourself to life through your old wounds. There is another enemy of healing: comparison. You look at someone else's success and question your own progress. You see someone's happiness and begin to doubt your own worth. But remember this, you are comparing your private struggles to someone else's public highlight reel. The Stoics never measured success by wealth, status, or popularity. They measured success by one question: am I becoming a better person than I was yesterday? That is the only comparison that truly matters. Healing isn't a race. There is no finish line, no trophy, no perfect timeline. Some wounds take weeks, others take years, and that's okay. Imagine recovering from a broken bone. Would you become angry because it didn't heal overnight? No. You would understand that healing requires patience. Then why do we expect our hearts to recover instantly from emotional pain that took years to create? Real healing happens quietly. It happens in ordinary moments. The day you stop blaming yourself, the morning you wake up without replaying the past, the moment you smile without forcing it, the evening you realize you haven't thought about the pain all day. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's simply noticing that what once broke you no longer controls you. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is acceptance, not approval. Acceptance. These are not the same thing. Acceptance means saying, this happened, not I'm glad it happened. The difference is enormous because every moment you spend arguing with reality, you lose the opportunity to grow beyond it. Imagine standing in the rain while shouting at the sky. Will the rain stop? No, but you'll become exhausted trying to control something that was never yours to control. The Stoics invite us to stop arguing with reality, not because reality is always kind, but because accepting it is the first step toward transforming it. There is something beautiful that happens when you finally stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin asking, what is this experience trying to teach me? That question changes pain into wisdom. Failure becomes experience. Loss becomes gratitude. Heartbreak becomes compassion. Every scar becomes evidence, not that life defeated you, but that you survived. Remember the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are honored, because they tell the story of survival. Your life is much the same. Your scars are not proof that you're weak. They are proof that you continued living when giving up would have been easier. And perhaps that has always been your greatest strength. Not that life never broke you, but that every single time you found the courage to keep going. There is one final lesson the Stoics wanted every person to understand. Your healing begins the moment you stop waiting for someone else to save you. Many people believe peace will arrive when someone apologizes, when life becomes easier, when the pain disappears, when everything finally makes sense. But what if that day never comes? Will you postpone your happiness forever? The Stoics refused to give anyone that kind of power. They believed your peace should never depend on circumstances you cannot control. Imagine standing outside a locked door. For years, you've been waiting for someone else to open it. You grow frustrated, you blame the people inside, you wonder why no one comes. Then one day, you notice something extraordinary. The key has been in your pocket all along. That key is responsibility. Not responsibility for what happened to you, but responsibility for what happens next. This is where healing truly begins, not by changing your past, but by changing your relationship with it. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than most. He lost children, he endured wars, he faced betrayal from people he trusted, he carried responsibilities that would overwhelm almost anyone. Yet he continued reminding himself of one powerful truth: you always have power over your own mind. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say you control the world. He didn't say you control other people. He didn't say you control the future. He said you control your mind. Everything else comes second. Think about how much energy we spend trying to control what has never belonged to us. We try to change people who don't want to change. We replay conversations that have already ended. We fear futures that haven't arrived. Meanwhile, the one thing we truly possess, our own character, is often neglected. The Stoics believe that your character is your greatest possession. It cannot be stolen, it cannot be bought, it cannot be destroyed by another person's opinion. Every day you have a choice. Will you allow your pain to define your character, or will you allow your character to transform your pain? That choice belongs to you, every single morning. One of the most beautiful Stoic practices is to begin each day with intention. Before reaching for your phone, before reading the news, before carrying yesterday into today, pause, take one slow breath, and ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not, what will happen today? Not, will everything go according to plan? But, what virtues will I practice today? Will you choose patience, kindness, courage, discipline, forgiveness? Because while life decides the events, you decide the person you become through them. That is where freedom lives. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. At first glance, it's just a rough stone. But the sculptor doesn't see what it is. He sees what it can become. Every strike of the chisel removes something unnecessary. Little by little, a masterpiece begins to appear. Healing works the same way. It isn't about adding something you've never had. It's about removing everything that hides who you truly are. The fear, the resentment, the shame, the endless self-doubt, the belief that you are not enough. With every lesson you learn, every burden you release, every act of self-forgiveness, you are carving away what no longer belongs. Until one day, you recognize yourself again, not because life became perfect, but because your soul became lighter. And perhaps that is what healing has always been. Not forgetting your story, but refusing to let your story imprison you. One day, someone will meet you, and they'll see your calmness. They'll admire your patience. They'll wonder how you remain peaceful in difficult situations. They won't see the nights you spent rebuilding yourself. They won't know how many tears became silent prayers. They won't realize how many battles were fought inside your own heart. But you will know. And that quiet strength will become something no one can ever take away. Because the strongest people are not those who have never suffered. They are the ones who transformed suffering into wisdom, the ones who turned pain into compassion, the ones who allowed heartbreak to teach them how to love more deeply, not less. Remember this. Healing is not about returning to the person you were before life hurt you. That person no longer exists. Healing is becoming someone wiser because life hurt you. Someone who protects their peace, someone who values their time, someone who no longer seeks validation from the world because they have found acceptance within themselves. The Stoics never promised an easy life. They promised something far greater, a life where your happiness is no longer controlled by other people, or by your past, or by circumstances beyond your control. A life where peace comes from within. So today, make yourself one promise. Stop asking, when will I finally heal? Instead ask, what is one step I can take today toward healing? Read one page, take one walk, forgive one mistake, speak one kind word to yourself. Let go of one old resentment. Small steps, repeated consistently, create extraordinary transformations. And years from now, you'll look back and realize that the person you were desperately trying to become was quietly being built every single day you chose hope over despair, wisdom over bitterness, and growth over fear. So carry this Stoic truth with you wherever you go. No one else can walk the path of healing for you, but every single day, you can choose to take one more step, and one day, without even noticing, you'll realize you're no longer surviving. You're finally living. Because the greatest victory isn't proving to the world how strong you are. It's waking up one morning, looking in the mirror, and realizing that the peace you've been searching for has been growing inside you all along. That is the Stoic secret to healing yourself from within.